Oh, very good, very good.
I am doing the robot.
Very good, very good. Well, welcome back, boys. Here we are.
How are you, lads?
Yeah, good, good. Just ready to chat. General chit chat. There's a lot going on in the world. So we thought we might chat, you know?
How was that? We're just chatting about before, the old RFK Rogan podcast.
Yeah, yep. That was very interesting, that one.
It sure was. It was 3 hours of just like rapid fire information, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
The beauty of it is Rogan gives him that platform. You know, like a lot of other platforms that RFK goes on restricts him a little bit time-wise, but this is like 3 hours full of letting him just speak. He gets so censored most times.
That's the great thing about those long-form podcasts is you can express your ideas. You know, like they get Jordan Peterson on and they take 2 or 3 grabs off him, and he if you take the 10 seconds that the news put on about him, you know, you could think he's misogynist or he's racist or whatever it might be, but when he long forms it out and he's got 2 hours to talk about it, you know, he sounds good.
Yeah, I think the other thing about Rogan as well is like he's not going to get censored. Like he's so big on Spotify, he's got the biggest platform in the world that he can more or less say whatever he wants and he's not going to get cancelled. He's too big.
Yeah.
Or it seems like it anyway.
And good on Spotify for not taking down that episode or for allowing it to air, because I listened to Tucker Carlson now on his Twitter thing, and he went through the whole sort of after effects of that Rogan RFK discussion, and there's some extreme right lefties journos that have just like got on there and slandered it and just fucking written pieces in whatever articles about how misinformation it is and disinformation. I hate those 2 words. But anyway, they've just gone on an absolute rant about it and contacted Spotify themselves as well to force them to take it down. And kudos to Spotify for sticking with it. I mean, how far does this go, this whole freedom of speech denialist idealism that, you know, you're not going to be able to say anything, or it's only just the narrative that's going to be heard. You know, you've got to hear both sides of a story, don't you?
Yeah. Well, the government trying to bring in a Misinformation Act. Yeah. Who are they to say what's misinformation?
That's right.
Know, if you get censored for something you don't say, we've recently been censored about something we said about on YouTube. You know, well, prove that we're not right. You know, prove it.
Yeah.
Well, we can't have that debate because you're telling me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I can't try and explain to you why I'm right, or if there's any middle ground. You're just told that's it. That's misinformation. You're wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a bit rough.
Yeah.
But then the government's got a law to say what is and isn't.
I think society...
absolute truth.
I think society has just too eagerly adopted these terms of misinformation or disinformation, and I don't really understand the meaning of it, because someone's information or opinion could be different to someone else's. It doesn't mean it's mis or dis. You know, it's their information or it's their opinion. It doesn't have to be categorised into a misinformation.
It's funny, isn't it? There's so many different religions and different sects and different... You've got the Uniting Church, you've got the Catholic Church. They all kind of believe in the same thing. But is one right, is one wrong? Well, they're all wrong. But,
yeah,
you know what I mean? That's fine. You can have differing opinions there in beliefs and things. But in the science world, no. This is how it is. You know?
Well, there's no debate anymore, is there?
No.
Like we used to debate shit if it was up for contest, like, you know, whether or not this is true. We used to sit down and have a debate, or scientists would debate by like reviewing each other's papers, or you know, there would be some format where they would debate, whether it's verbal or written or otherwise. But there's no debate now. It's just like there's supposedly someone who is like the holder of truth, and then if your truth doesn't line up with them, then you're just cooked.
Yeah.
But the good thing about RFK is he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
And in everything he does, he's so meticulously researched.
Yep.
Like you said, he wrote this real Anthony Fauci book. He hasn't been sued. So that must mean that everything he's written is true because, I mean, he's very well referenced.
Yep.
He understands very well how the legal system works, what you can and can't say, and he understands like the burden of proof. So it's like, well, you're saying that it's all misinformation. He's sitting here saying, well, I'm a lawyer and I've got thousands of references for my book and everything I do will stand up in court. So to me, that makes it true.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, if you can't be
if
sued,
he's saying
then-
this will stand up in court, and if I take this to court, it will win, doesn't
Yeah.
that mean it's true?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And those people that do argue against him, he'll say, okay, well, show me the evidence or prove it to me.
Yeah.
And they can't.
Yeah.
So I think he sued HSS or some health service in the US because he asked for some specific vaccine efficacy or safety. What do you call them? When they test it,
The clinical trial.
Clinical trial, and they said, "Oh, we'll get back to you." And after toing and froing for a year, they never got back to him.
Yeah.
So he and Aaron Siri took him to court and sued them, and they admitted at court that there was no safety.
There was no
clinical trial.
pre-clinical safety trials for any vaccine ever used in America.
Exactly.
That's fucking hectic, hey? Like,
Isn't
you
it?
hear that, and like, even if you're flying the most heavy pro-vax flag ever, there must be a little chink in your armour where you go, ooh,
Yeah.
what now?
And that's what I don't believe people don't
Say
pick up
what?
on. Like that's quite a crazy fact. But is that misinformation? And this guy that come up about debating RFK. What's his name?
Peter Hotez.
Peter Hotez. So
Yeah.
I think Rogan chucked down the first 100,000. Now it's up to $3 million. The donations to get this debate going, and he still refuses to debate RFK. The money's going to go to charity. So even as a charitable person, wouldn't you go, okay, look, I'll take it on for the purposes of charity and I'll see how I go. But he's so fearful that his integrity and his professionalism or whatever he stands for is going to be exposed that he won't do it. I reckon it's weak as piss.
Well, yeah. Wouldn't you be willing to debate someone if you know you're right?
Yeah,
know
and
what
if
I
you're
mean?
so
If
strongly...
you're so strongly
Even if you
believe,
don't know, but you really believe it,
Yeah.
you give it a crack.
yeah,
If someone comes up and you believe the Earth is a ball and they're a flat earther, you'd be like, I'll fucking debate you.
I got you.
Fucking got you on this,
Come on.
motherfucker. Like, you'd have
Take me
that
on.
belief. You'd be like, yep, we're
It's
doing
like
this.
it's like taking on a bet, isn't it? You
Yeah.
don't bet. You don't bet someone unless you think you know. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll take that $100 bet because
Yeah.
I know I'm getting that $100.
Like, there's no certainties in life, but you do feel relatively certain about some things.
Yeah, and it's his livelihood and his job. I mean, that's cool, but back yourself in.
Yeah.
And that's what RFK is doing. He's like, well, bring it on, man. Let's have a debate. Let's talk this science.
And Hotez has the popular narrative.
Well, yeah, he
Like,
does.
RFK
yeah.
has the work to do really to
Well,
convince people because
that's
he's not
right.
really coming from a place of strength and a place of public opinion. He's coming from the opposite, where all he really has is science and facts to debate.
Yeah.
But then they're like, yeah.
This Hotez guy, he's related anti-vax to white supremacy and shit and like Nazism. This is these sort of things that they grab onto to like they grab onto labels. They grab onto labels to dequalify someone's stance. It's just that to me just shows a weakness
Yeah.
in their argument that they've got to create a label for you.
Yeah. I'll tell you what RFK does really well is he lays out the story of things from start to finish. Like, he's very well researched in like the chronology of how stuff's happened.
Yep.
So he can go right back. I'm not just talking about vaccines, but any topic that he wants to talk about, whether it's like an environmental thing or like the capture of different agencies or the rise of pesticides or whatever. He's very good at, he understands the whole story. He's not taking like one little snippet and going, oh yeah, Monsanto brought in Roundup and it's really bad. He can go right back and talk about like all the previous stuff they used to use and then how one legislative change led to something else and then how one company's pursuit of something did this. And like he's a very good, I find he's a very good storyteller where like if you really listen to what he's saying, he really lays out an entire timeline of how stuff's happened and how little incremental changes along the way have like paved the way for companies or corporations to do different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I find him fascinating. Like it's hard to not, for me, I agree with almost everything he says, but it's hard for me not to even if I didn't, at least be compelled to go back and look at what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because it's such a credible, I find him to be a credible person. I don't find him to be like a crackpot where he's
Well, he makes sense.
talking about nanobots going in your brain and self-assembling particles and stuff, and you go, come on, mate.
Well,
He's literally saying this science journal, this article, this legislation, this happened on this date, this act, and you're going, oh, fuck, that's really hard to at least not look at and go, maybe it's credible.
And like you say, that's why he's so good. He goes back and he explains it all, and he's got his references off the top of his head, probably.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Mate, yeah.
You know, and
super switched.
Getting back to those long form podcasts and Rogan allowing him to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, he gets on a morning show for 2 minutes and he's got to get his point across, and his point is big pharma, whatever it is.
Yep.
In 2 minutes, it's hard to do unless you've got that backstory. And I think that's great. I think he mentioned it on the Rogan podcast and saying, thank you for this ability to do this because I can explain it. And then he sort of went through how many followers Rogan's got and how many followers whatever it was CNN have got.
Yeah.
And he was almost saying to Rogan, you're helping influence elections and, you know, those kind of things. So
Yeah. I guess I'd recommend anyone having a look on YouTube, RFK's recent, I think it's a presidential speech or something. If you look at he's standing in front of
foreign policy address to the Democratic Party.
I think it is foreign policy. Yeah. And he talks about how America has got to how it is now through just this war machine that they constantly have to have a threat or an enemy, or the whole concept of allies and us versus them. They've now distanced themselves from other countries and nations because of their sort of overreaching warmongering sort of mentality.
Forever wars, I think.
Forever wars.
Always being in a war.
Always being in a war.
Being a bully.
Yeah, and what I found really interesting was his how he connected that or related it to the American public themselves. So they've become worn down by this whole mentality. Their whole spirituality has been affected by this war mentality. That, you know, they're most mentally and physically unhealthy than they've been in generations. You know, their water, their land, their air is polluted. Their minds and hearts have been polluted. You know, they constantly think they have to be at war with someone.
And there's always an us versus them.
Yeah, that must grind you down. It must grind you down over time.
Anti-vax, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we've developed this
just a polarised community.
Community. And
there's no middle thing. It's like you're on one end of the seesaw or the other. It's like their politics, left and right. There's not a really good, strong middle.
Yeah.
You know, the left is super left and the right are pretty far right.
Yeah.
You know, fuck, if someone just had a centrist party.
Yeah, well, that's what, you know, that was what Nader was, Ralph Nader was back in the 90s. I think he was actually winning the, you know, whatever it is, what do they call it? The public opinion vote.
Yeah.
And then he pulled out and Bush got in. And so
maybe some men in dark suits came and had a chat with him one night.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of what RFK is, isn't it? He's kind of like that middle ground of, you know, a voice of reason. That foreign policy speech, I got tingles a couple of times.
Man, it even brought tears to me. I was listening to it. You know, it was just such a pro-humanity speech.
Yeah.
And if that didn't resonate with you as a human being, that speech, I don't know, there's something wrong with you. I found it very inspirational, and if he's that sort of leader, that's what a leader to me is.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess during these times we've got to find our own leadership within ourselves, and I think that was one of the last lines on that movie we watched, Plandemic 3. One of the last lines at the end there has the writing at the end, and it says, "Don't look for leaders to lead you. Be a leader in yourself in this movement against, you know, tyrannical governments and anarchy or whatever it is. You know, just be a leader within yourself. And if we are all leaders within ourselves, living and leading a healthy spiritual life, then we're all doing it together."
Yeah. I like those memes, speaking of living a healthy life. I like the memes that have got RFK, because, you know, did you see him do those push-ups recently?
Mate, he is jacked for an old dude.
He's fucking hell.
How fit is he?
He's jacked, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And that's the USA need a leader like that.
Yeah.
Someone strong.
Yeah.
Maybe that's his
then
problem, because he's physically obviously very fit. Mentally, he's very competent.
Yeah.
he's got some actual strong ideas. Like maybe that's his downfall.
Yeah. Well, you put him next to Biden, who's tripping over and stumbling his words.
Riding bikes into crowds and falling off and falling upstairs.
Or next to Trump, who's this
getting his son's name wrong.
Comical cartoon character, with his hair and his, I mean, I don't want to poke fun at anyone from how they look, but, and some of the stuff he says is obviously a bit out there, but, RFK seems to be a middle ground of, can bring everyone together. I just in some, I don't know if do you think he pulls on his uncle a bit?
Not really.
Nah.
I mean,
No,
that's just his story. He's got a very, their
that's
family
true.
story.
That's
a fucking hectic story. Your uncle assassinated, your father assassinated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking he did reference it a lot, and you're right. It is his story. You can't deny his father and uncle were assassinated. One of them was the sitting president at the time, and one was very close to going to be the next president.
Yeah.
So, it is.
I think it's also shaped who he is.
Oh, for no doubt.
Like you hear stories about him, like his father making him read all these different books that had like all these, moralistic stories, and he speaks about having political debates at the dinner table every night when him and his extended family would sit down.
Yeah.
I think back to my childhood, I'm eating Cocoa Pops and watching bloody Transformers on TV, like it's just, he's had a different upbringing.
Yeah.
It's like he's been moulded to be who he is from like a very young age. And I don't know about you guys' upbringing, and I'm not picking on my family upbringing. I had a great time as a kid.
Me too.
I had really good parents, really loving family, all that stuff. But we weren't getting into the nitty gritty of, like international politics and, reading
having Russian spies come to your house
the
and
100,
hang out with you.
most influential books and all that sort of shit. I was just fucking having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his family environment.
Yeah.
And what I love about the way he speaks is he's very much connected to the environment, and he believes that our society has become disconnected with it.
Yeah.
And that's one of our, we always talk about that, modern ancestral man connection with the environment. And I think he advocates society getting back to that, getting back to nature and getting back to us as a part of it, not separate from it.
I think he did reference also at one point, one of the things I was listening to about ancestral man and having I think he said even a strong male leader in your tribe being, the big, probably the large physical presence. There's no doubt that males are bigger than females, and having the physical presence, maybe some females are smarter than men, but, having that strong male leadership back in ancestral times would have been what made your tribe flourish against others.
He might be a listener of the show, I'm not sure.
I think he is.
He might have been referencing us.
I did get that email from RFK Jr. at Gmail.
Listen, mate, stop pestering us, all right?
You can come on our show if you want, mate.
We've got a busy lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he does all right. I hope he gets through alive and does well in the voting.
Because he did also mention that he's not taking any money from any lobbyists or big pharma or big ag, all of those, which is a problem for his campaigning. I think he's got 4 million. Other dudes are getting 20 million donations.
But that's why he's going around and speaking his ass off. He's travelling around and he's doing shows, meeting people, and that's old school politics.
Yeah.
Before politicians were influenced by lobbyists
but he still needs that money to get around. He's got to fly around. He's got to drive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So 4 mil, it's a lot of money. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's not in the scheme of things. And I think he was talking about, I think he's got some merch if you're an RFK fan.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can get on. I was going to buy a T-shirt, I think.
What is that on a site other than the Children's Health Defence site, or can you go through that?
Yeah, I think it's like rfk.com or something. I could find it and let you know what it is, but I had a look yesterday. 23 American dollars for a shirt. It goes to his campaign, which I thought was pretty cool. He's got also mugs and...
Sounds crazy as an Australian person, but I would actually donate to him. And
Well, I'm thinking about it too.
I probably will, because I don't hold out much hope that he will be elected the next US president. But even if he runs a strong race and he gets his message out there to a few more people during the presidential race, I mean, I hope he gets elected, but I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Is that belief, Smithy, and this is the argument that I've been rolling around in my mind as well, that he won't get elected because either A, the US citizens won't vote for him, or B, because the election is controlled anyway by the deep state and that they pull the strings on who gets elected anyway. Biden got in there with, what was it, the highest amount of votes ever that he even succeeded. Was it Trump who won?
With 80 million or
something like that. So Trump won with this amount of votes, but Biden got, I don't know, I can't remember the actual figures behind it.
I mean, their system is different, isn't it? If you win the state, you win that. So you might not
but they've got that electoral college where it breaks up the weight of different areas.
Yeah.
They got like 200 or 300 different areas that all come together and they make up. So like some states will have, 4 electoral college seats and some will have, whatever.
Yeah.
And then that region that you're in forms part of that. Because I remember Trump was bagging that out as being like a disadvantage for him. In the one that he won, and then it actually turned
because
out
then there's the electoral
saved him.
Yeah, that's
then there's the electric voting system as well, which seemed to be compromised.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you've seen that. There's a documentary called 2,000 Mules, and that actually shows video evidence of paid actors going to US mail boxes and throwing in, I'm talking about, massively thick postal votes.
Just 1,000 postal votes or something like that.
And that included people who were deceased, that had voted already. But the whole postal voting system, I think, was also compromised. That's if he gets in, what's it going to be due to, A or B?
Yeah, mate. I think more towards B. I think the American public would vote for him. I think he brings a lot of people together. Because going back to what you said about Biden getting so many votes, I think that was a function of people hating Trump so much. I don't think people will have a hatred for RFK because he speaks a lot of what I think is pretty rational, pretty centrist sort of policy.
And he's got the political family.
He's got the name.
JFK was a hugely popular president.
Absolutely. And I think, obviously, he's running as a Democrat because that's his sort of family history. I mean, you're not going to go against the legacy of your whole family. And he describes himself as like a libertarian Democrat. But I think he would actually pull a lot of people from the right, like centrist right people, towards him as well.
Yeah.
So I think the American people would vote for him. I think the machinery behind how things work now, whether that's sort of like mainstream media or how the voting system works or whatever, I think is so powerful now. Like you look at his uncle and his father both killed. I don't think they need to assassinate people these days. I think you can just do that electronically. You can just cancel someone.
Yeah.
Up to a certain
Silence
point.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they'll have a very sophisticated, what's the word? Like campaign that they'll run against him, and I think they'll just be able to nullify him.
Yeah,
pretty easily.
There is another runner, isn't there, in the Democratic Party? It's a lady. I can't remember her name, but I did listen to her on a podcast. It might have been
Tulsi Gabbard.
Right, it wasn't Tulsi Gabbard. I think it was on Russell Brand, and he interviewed her, and she's quite a spiritual sort of lady. And I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she seems really well grounded and not as an extreme lefty as some of them. So. It'd be interesting to see how she goes.
I feel like Democrats will be ready for a change from Biden. Like I think they did vote him in last time because they were so terrified of Trump getting in, and I think that's what really motivated a lot of people to go out and possibly do those scam postal votes or whatever. I don't think people will feel that strongly, obviously, about RFK, and obviously he will run as a Democratic nominee if he gets in. The problem is Trump's running again, so.
Can you imagine inside the Democratic Party? They must be just like having fits, knowing that this dude RFK is part of their party, but speaks a little bit further down the line than what they espouse. Imagine they just be freaking out.
They would be.
Yeah.
And then they like, fuck, what do we got to work with? Oh, we got old Joe and Kamala Harris back here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
fucking hell.
Yeah.
What do you reckon,
And
Joe?
he's-
Can we get another 4 years out of you, mate? How you going there?
And he's winning the popular vote too.
Yes. Okay, wise words from Joe. Off you go, mate.
Yeah. or some of Kamala's great speeches.
Hide her in the closet for another 4
Time
years.
it's time to move on from what we moved on from before during the time when we moved on. At a time when things went down that really required we moved on. It's just some of her things she says, it's like, what planet is she from?
Do you reckon she's just like a really low functioning android robot?
Yeah.
They haven't quite got the AI worked out.
Yeah. She's like one of those ones on Austin Powers, a spy who sags me, and she's like, her head like starts to twitch.
The fembots.
Yeah, the fembots, yeah. And they're just going to keep her in place now. And part of her dysfunctioning robot part is that laugh. The laugh she has.
And the problem is, like, that's the team they've got, so they've got to kind of run them again.
Yeah.
They'll be like, all right, Joe, you've done a good job, but, you're out.
Yeah.
So is that what happens? RFK will have to come up against Biden to get the Democratic Party's nomination?
Yeah.
Isn't that strange that you could have a Democratic nominee that's not the president?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Or can that actually happen?
Don't they select those after a debate panel? Don't they get all the
Well, they're not
major...
debating this year. So
Yeah, I
Biden
know.
and Trump have both said we won't debate. How the fuck can you be like basically the leader of the, free world? Be like, I'm not going to debate. Not really going to talk about my policies.
Yeah.
You just got to like me or not like me.
That's what it's come down to, though. It's a popularity contest.
It's like, well,
Yeah.
a lot of people fucking hate Trump and a lot of people hate Biden.
Yeah.
It's almost like a race of who you hate least.
Yeah, that's right. And isn't that the same with all politicians?
Yeah.
And I know we've said it before. You're not voting for the actual person. You're voting for the party and its policies, but you are.
But
in
if
the
they
end.
don't debate what their fucking policies are, then it's
Yeah,
pretty hard
and you
to
don't
get on
know.
board with the policy train,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
crazy.
It's a bit like bringing in an act and saying it'll all work out. Just vote for it, and then we'll get it in, and then we'll sort it out.
I can think of an act just like that.
Yeah, it was on the front page of the paper again today.
Was it?
So yeah, I don't know. When's it supposed to come?
Big
in?
big yes,
No,
big
no,
yes
no,
thing?
no. They're
What, the West Australian?
yeah. Would you believe they're saying this is being rushed in, and this is the Cultural Heritage Act we're talking about?
Oh, not The Voice.
Not the Voice. Sorry,
That's,
no, the
that's
Cultural
getting some
Heritage.
people's feathers up, as we spoke about in
Yeah.
a previous podcast.
We did,
it's,
yeah.
It's coming in now, essentially.
Yeah, 1 July.
Yeah, but I think Roger Cook, the Premier's ushering it in. He's saying we're backing
It's
it in.
very restrictive. It's extremely restrictive.
Yeah, even the West, which is pretty pro this government in Western Australia at the moment, is fighting back, so to speak, which is what you'd hope the media would do. And I guess the people of Western Australia are saying this is a bit strange, this act.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's all good.
It
Pushing
sounds
it in.
like fucking something that someone's made up. And when I first heard about it, I was like, get the fuck out of here. I fucking dig 4 kilos of soil in my backyard whenever I want.
Well,
But then I thought, oh, I better just qualify this. So I just
Yeah.
quickly went to my high-level, research platform, DuckDuckGo, typed in fucking Cultural Heritage Act or whatever, and a Sky News article came up, like a video article. I thought, oh, yeah, Sky News, we'll have a listen, and that sounded pretty bad.
yeah.
So I thought, I've got to dig a bit deeper here, and I went and read the legislation, and there's some frequently asked questions from, like, the WA, .gov.au website, and it's like, shit, this is real.
Well,
This is happening.
when you said it in that podcast with us, I was like, come on, mate. That's you got to
Same
be.
as what I said a couple of weeks before that, man. Like,
Usually you're pretty good, is what I was thinking in my head. Usually you're pretty good, but you've got this wrong, matey. This cannot be
Smithy.
right. Yeah, it's bullshit. But you're spot on.
but most people still don't know about it.
No.
I'm that crazy guy that's kind of trying to slip it into conversations here and there just to gauge people's reaction, and everyone's like, "What are you talking
Have you
about?"
heard about that? Yeah, that's it. That's a very interesting one. And how restrictive the government is making everything we do these days. It's really difficult to dig a hole in your backyard.
I was joking to my missus. We have chickens, and we free range our chickens during the day, and then at night we lock them up so foxes don't get them. Every now and then, very rarely, one of the birds will die either of natural causes or to get attacked by a hawk or an eagle, or a fox will get it.
Or for
We've
roast.
got to bury the body. I've got to bury the bodies quite deep, otherwise the fox will come and dig up this
Yeah.
half decomposed carcass. I'm not going to be allowed to dig a hole now to bury a chicken
Yeah, right.
unless I put in the paperwork. And Then I've got
Yeah.
to wait for a yes or no and speak to the,
Yeah.
run it by the elders or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
What am I going to do now? Put a dead bird in my bin, sit it in my wheelie bin for a week, stinking it up until the poor old driver comes and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picks it up.
chucks it in the back of his truck.
Yeah.
It's just a bit weird.
Wrap it. Or what do? You wrap it in some non-biodegradable plastic and put it in your bin because you don't want it to stink.
I could give it like a Viking ceremonial death and
yeah.
make like a fire bed and
Burn
burn
it.
it.
That'd be
But
cool.
then I'm only allowed to have fires without permits like fucking 5 months a
Yeah,
year or something.
true.
So it's a bit tricky. Probably be frowned upon in summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do?
Life's going to get hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the way of the world, I guess.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's when it
there's a
comes
lot of
back to-
distractions though, isn't there? Like, don't you love all the distractions coming up? Like this whole UFO shit, man. Come on. Do they think we are that fucking stupid? Like they're even passing through US Parliament now, whatever it is, government, that these companies like Boeing, Raytheon, all they have to provide evidence of what they're working on, like retro engineering, UFO, like engines or like machinery
Yeah.
or technology.
Yeah.
So they're running this through Parliament, and then you've got all these people coming forward and saying, "Yeah, look, UFOs, they're a real thing," But has anyone ever showed us the evidence? Like, show me a spaceship.
Yeah.
Or show me a little alien person that you've dissected back in the 60s and cryogenically frozen, and then I'll believe it. But don't come up with this bullshit when you've got stories like the war in Ukraine, you've got the Hunter Biden drug laptop, whatever crimes he's committed, the Chinese money laundering thing that he did, the threat to that guy. All these things going on. No, let's just chuck them the UFO theory. We'll throw that out there.
It's definitely possible, isn't it?
That'll get them off track.
Yeah.
I can't believe people don't see through that.
I mean, okay, so they're passing that act through US Parliament. Anything they're going to be doing is going to be top secret. So straight up, it's not going to be like they're just going to lay the blueprints down, in Parliament. Be like, oh, here you go, guys. It's super top secret, CIA, Black Op, but yeah, we'll show you right here. We are actually working on aliens because, Parliament said we had to put it down, or
Yeah.
Congress, whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
it's called over there.
exactly.
It's like, come on now.
Yeah. So the whole act itself that they're trying to pass through is just cockamamie bullshit. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a distraction.
Yeah.
The punter out there says, well, if it's being passed through Parliament, there must be something behind it.
But people want it to be true, me included.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about aliens. Whatever.
I do want to know before I die.
Yeah.
Not like someone tell me. I'd like to actually see
Yeah.
something that compelled me to think, all right,
Yeah, that it was real. That we aren't
this is
alone.
real. I'm not talking about something that's in the front page of the paper or a YouTube video or anything, because anything you see is obviously, able to be corrupted. But something with my own eyes,
Yeah. Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
That's what we need. We need some evidence. Show me a little spaceship.
Yeah.
Show me a man with big eyes and
Yeah.
little limbs and a big head that you've been working on
Yeah.
since, whatever. But I don't know. I think of alien existence in two ways. I think if they are out there, it minimises humanity a little bit. We're not as special as we thought we were. But then if they aren't out there,
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
if they aren't out there, it makes us so much more unique. If there's no other, if you think of the whole universe and the only life that exists is what we find right here, how beautiful and unique are humans and animals and plants?
I think it'd be a bit of a shame, don't you reckon?
What would be?
This is it. We've got the infinicy of space, goes forever. There's countless other solar systems, planets throughout the whole of the many, many universes. And this is fucking it.
But it's pretty special though. This is, if you think about, fuck,
Mate, have you been down to the shops down at fucking Midland Gate recently? We're not that fucking special. Like, yeah, some people are special. There's some amazing humans on Earth, but
I think
most of us, myself included,
I think as a race we're pretty
low-functioning,
special. We've let ourselves slide a little bit with modern day things that have polluted our health physically and mentally. But I think overall humans are a pretty unique race. Like when it comes down to it, humans will care for other humans.
sometimes.
And humans are more good than bad.
Yeah, On balance, yeah, I'd say that's probably true. Have you heard the theory that, let's assume that aliens are real and that they do visit our planet? Have you heard the theory that they're not here to visit us?
Ooh. What are they here for?
Like they might be here talking to whales or, we're all like, yeah, we're the fucking alpha dogs of the planet and we're the most knowledgeable fucking carriers of intelligence and truth. And there's some people who are like, maybe they don't give two fucks about us and they think we're a bunch of mouth breathers. Maybe they're here talking to whales or some other animal that we're not aware of.
Yeah,
and
mate.
we are just so arrogant that we have worked out, they can't talk or communicate. Like they talk about whales and their song and how they're communicating via song and that some of their sound waves can travel, literally across vast oceans.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe we're not the cleverest.
Yeah. I wonder why that's why the spaceships are in the deepest of the oceans.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a good little, just knocks you off your perch for a minute, doesn't it?
Doesn't
And
it?
you go, oh,
Yeah.
maybe, you never
We
know.
are insignificant.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe they're going, we'll go to Earth and talk to those amazing whales, but fuck, those humans are going to be there and we have to fucking freak a few of them out and
Yeah. Look, why don't we just
maybe probe a couple of them?
Yeah,
just to
why
keep
don't
them
we?
at arm's
Yeah,
length?
why don't we just transform a few up to our spaceship and shove some stuff up their ass and just make them think it was a dream?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, fuck with their minds a bit.
And then they'll come back down and everyone will say that you fucking crazy conspiracy theorist.
That's
and then
right.
everyone will get stuck into them and then
Yep.
they'll be ostracized and it'll be
Yeah.
game over. So
Yeah, those aliens are
that's
pretty
clever,
smart,
man. They're clever.
Maybe we just like the Truman Show, that Jim Carrey show, and they're just watching us,
Yeah.
just like, they're just like, well, look at what these
Well,
fucking
what
idiots
if?
are doing.
What if they've assumed a human body and they're walking around amongst us
Ooh,
in
yeah.
leadership roles in the world,
That's some
or
David Icke shit right there.
in just everyday life? So,
Yeah.
say you're catching the train
Yep.
and you're sitting there, whatever, and there's an actual alien on there, and he's just taking notes.
Could be.
Like a spy.
Yeah, he's just thinking, day 554 on transportation vessel to large city area. Human beings have
I hope they're on the Midland line.
confined themselves
The
into a very
line.
tight space and seem to be breathing on each other. There are some wearing a mask. Very, very strange. I can't wait to return home to normal life on planet.
Would be easy to take over this planet.
It would be, hey, everyone's got their head stuck in their phone or up their own asses. It'd be so easy to take it over.
Yeah, crazy.
Have you seen those like technological 3D things? Like there's the classic whale that comes out of the school gymnasium, the hologram images.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen those?
A little bit, yeah.
Sort of.
I know what you're talking about.
Man, have you seen the whale that comes out of the school gym floor?
Not really, no.
It looks like a whale comes out of the floor and like splashes back into the floor. It is so real. They reckon that is going to be used to convince the world that there are aliens, and that's why maybe the government are coming out with all this. Oh yeah, aliens are for real, because
Why do
what
they
they'll
wanna-
then do is they'll use this 3D technology, this imagery, to project a spaceship in space. It will look so in the sky. It will look so real that one of us will go, "Fuck! Have a look at this. We're getting invaded. We need to comply what the government's military martial law is telling us. We've got to do this and that."
We'd be very compliant in WA. Oh, yep. No, whatever you say. Yeah.
Imagine the whole human race fearful
The
of an
Yanks are out
alien
there firing
invasion.
muskets in it and shit and fucking
Yeah.
South Carolina.
Everything we
Get
fire
my
at it doesn't
gun.
really do anything. It's because it's an image.
Get my cannon.
It's going right through.
Yeah, it's going right through. That's the conspiracy theory behind all that.
Well, mate, that's crazy, that technology shit. We're there now in terms of like they can make videos.
Yeah,
that
isn't
would-
that crazy?
They could make a video that you would not be able to tell the difference of. That will be Joe Biden standing up on stage saying, "We are going to war with Russia. We are
Yeah.
going to launch
Yeah.
nuclear missiles." Like that technology now is that good
That is so scary, that one.
that they can now
Yeah.
do the voice, they can do the body, the whole thing.
Yep.
And you're not going to be able to perceive the difference. So if you see something on your phone, on TV, you hear audio, like all of that stuff is now corruptible to the point where the average person can't tell,
Yep.
and even probably more advanced, person with some technology probably can't even tell. Like,
Yeah.
so chuck fucking holograms and stuff onto the top of that. we're almost getting to a point now with like AI and other shit happening where it's like if you don't see something with your own eyeballs, it's up for debate whether or not it's happening.
That's right.
Like, okay, I jump on my phone. I wake up this morning, I jump on my phone, I go, I might Google Russia Ukraine. I didn't because I don't give a fuck. But if I did, anything I read, I can't fucking verify it. Oh yeah, they're on an offensive. Yeah, they're fighting for fucking Donetsk, and this has happened. It's like I don't know any of that's true. I don't even know that they're at war. I don't have any objective measure to know that there's a war in the Russia and Ukraine. I'm not saying there isn't. I believe there is. But my point is they could just write that and I have to believe it.
Yeah. They can run reels on TV or media screens looking like there's a war. Yeah. But there might not be one. And I'm not, I know there is one, but they could, this is what the ability is to create imagery.
That was my point, yeah. We've got the ability now really to create any narrative we want.
And that's what they're concerned about now. They want to bring in laws where that AI capability can't be used because they're fearful that it can be used against within public. So your voice can be recorded when you speak on your phone, and then a hacker can use your voice to ring up someone. Say ring up your bank and say, I want to come in and pick up $3,000 in the next couple of days. You go in there, you pick it up, or possibly even threaten someone of your family, like, oh hi, it's Daddy. Do you want to come and meet me here? Blah blah blah, and they do because it's your voice.
Yeah,
there's that one going around on Telegram now, so slightly less advanced, but the same thing, where they'll hack into your Telegram account, and this has happened to a guy that you guys both know as well. And on the Telegram account, it will send a message to your mum from your account saying, Mum, I'm really stuck. I've gone somewhere. I've lost all my credit cards. I'm cooked. I'm with this guy. Can you just send like $500 here? I'm really in the shit.
Yeah.
And like, if you're not thinking and you're an elderly mum and you get a message on Telegram that says from, Rooster, whatever, a lot of people would get dragged into that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Imagine when you take that next step like you're talking about and like they pick up the phone and it's your voice.
Yeah.
Mum, I'm really fucked. I've broken down on the side of the road. I really need you to wire some money through to this because I'm stuck and I'm in a real fuck.
Yeah.
Like shit's going to get pretty real.
Yeah.
In all facets of like scamming and it's going to be a world where it's going to have to be really careful about who you trust.
Yeah.
And what information you trust.
And I guess when people think about AI, they're just thinking about how computers and artificial intelligence will serve humanity and possibly take our jobs and whatever. But I don't think they're thinking about that side of it. I don't think they're thinking about how it can be used like imagery to project something that's happening that isn't real.
Yeah.
Even to affect you personally.
Yeah.
I don't think people are really considering that impact of AI.
Yeah. It's pretty hectic.
So what sort of jobs you reckon are going to get sort of obsolete once AI becomes such a point where...
Mate, most of them. Like if you're a TV presenter, that's an extreme example. Like eventually they won't need you.
Yeah.
They'll be able to create a projection of someone who never has a mistake, never has a sick day, never gets COVID,
doesn't need makeup.
Says the wrong thing, says exactly what you want. Yeah, but it'll be a thing.
What do we do in society then?
I mean, anyone that works in an office, any office-based job, automated.
Yeah.
You work in a supermarket, checkout chicks, automated.
You could even have a school
shelves,
teacher,
automated.
right? We talked about in our schooling and education episode how schools are becoming indoctrinated with ideologies. Mm-hmm. You could even have a computer-generated image of a teacher out front of a classroom rattling off rhetoric that you want them to hear.
Yep.
It's not a person speaking with emotions, blah, blah, blah. It's an image of a person.
Maybe it is a person, mate. Go forward another 10, 15, 20 years. You look at like technology of, like, have you seen those Boston Dynamics robots, the military robots?
Yeah. They're crazy.
Those things are terrifying.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can see what they can do. They can run, jump, shoot, climb up complex things. It's not a huge stretch to say like, well, we could make something that doesn't do all that stuff, but it stands up. It's in the form of a human, wears clothes, has a face. Like that, what's that movie with
Ex Machina?
Ex Machina.
That's a great movie.
Killer
I
movie.
love that movie.
Loved it. Yeah, real good. But
she's hot too.
Oh, super hot.
I don't know what the actress' name is, but she's been in a few things since.
Yeah, but like it's not that much of a stretch to be like, we will probably be there in, let's say, the next 10, 20, 30 years where they could easily, inexpensively make that.
Yeah.
And then you've got something that, again, never has a sick day, doesn't have human emotions, doesn't need to be managed for its efficiency or knowledge
Then
or anything
kills
like
ya.
that. It then kills you. You saw what happened in Ex Machina. They get you every time.
But why? I don't understand why would they kill us? We're not needed.
Well, they could say already like humans, we consider ourselves a virus on Earth. Let's say we make
parasite.
a parasite. Let's say we make artificial intelligence, and then you start getting some scientists who implant that mentality into the artificial intelligence. So the artificial intelligence then assumes that humans are a parasite or a virus, and so the common computer algorithm there says viruses and plagues must be exterminated. So let's exterminate this virus, this plague that's on the earth.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
And then it does so by means of, I don't know. I don't know how it would do it. Maybe you'd get a Terminator from the future or something. Maybe Arnie would come in and
maybe
it could be Judgment Day.
We've got this big rich versus poor divide. Like maybe you're a real rich dude, you're a Rothschild or something like that. You go, well, the world's pretty fucked with like 7 billion people on it, but we're probably pretty good with 500 million. So maybe we'll just take out the trash and do a bit of cleaning, and we've got our army of robots to service all our needs.
Yeah.
We'll keep a few people on the earth to keep things interesting and whatever. And the rest of them will just... it's fucking pretty out there shit, isn't it? But like, it's interesting just to talk about it just from a purely theoretical point of view. I don't think it's anything we need to be too worried about.
The future is happening fast, man. The future is happening fast.
Yeah, well, it's happening faster and faster. What's that law where like technology moves exponentially? So like...
it doubles every year or something.
Like that. So, you look at like the exponentiality of how it goes.
Yeah.
It starts out very flat and then we taper and then it's just like fucking and it just goes crazy. Where like they reckon a few years until AI will be able to do stuff we can't understand.
Yeah.
And then we don't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's just programming itself in ways that we don't understand. And you go, well,
super scary.
is that a problem? I don't know. I feel like it could be a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not qualified to say whether it is or isn't, but
I
just
think
from
you're
a layman.
qualified enough.
No, well, I mean, as a layman, like I have no computer science background, but I go, well, to me, that sounds like it could be a drama.
And I mean, like you say, they're probably super clever, the people that are developing these things, and maybe they build in redundancies that make that not happen.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't, and we all die.
Yeah. I've got nothing wrong with technology and all these awesome things that it can bring. I just don't want it to be used against us. I just don't want bad dudes getting a hold of technology for the ill of mankind.
Worst, man.
Hate bad dudes.
Yeah, I don't like bad dudes, but I just want technology to be used for the benefit of mankind. Like say Elon Musk the other day. I heard him on Zuby. He was talking about the Neuralink thing, and Zuby posed a question, which is a fair enough question that scares the fuck out of people. This little chip in your brain that can help you like function motor neurons and function limbs that aren't working, potentially even help you communicate with someone else telepathically, someone else with a Neuralink.
Yep.
Now that's scary shit. But then Elon says, but that's just the negative side of it. Think what was designed for was to help those people with paraplegia or quadriplegia or some sort of mental incapacity to work again, to possibly function. What's that? The guy, the really smart guy in the wheelchair, Stephen Hawking. He said, imagine that guy who had a Neuralink in his brain could function in a normal capacity. Imagine how the benefit to mankind that would be.
Yeah.
So there's all these positive sides of things, but we always sort of err to, and I guess that's just human nature. We are designed to err to the negative because that's our go-to for safety and being aware,
Yeah.
We always go to the fearful, the bad side to protect ourselves, don't we?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But there's definitely, stuff is definitely ramping up. I mean, I've said it before, I sound like such an old dude now, but I'm like, we had everything we needed in the 90s. We did.
Back to the 90s. We love
I had
the 90s.
a very basic mobile phone.
Yep.
It could text.
Yep.
But that's it.
In the 90s?
The 90s, I was doing
the
text.
Nokia's, mate. The Nokia flip phone.
You had a phone in the 90s?
Late 90s.
What are you, like Bill Gates?
Let me think back here. Yeah, I reckon 98.
Yeah, late 90s, I reckon.
98, 99, I got my first phone. It's probably, earlier than that. I got my first phone was an analog. That would have been like 94, 95, I reckon.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, money,
Wow,
man.
you were a tech guru,
I
man.
reckon.
I had a part-time job, made about
Yeah.
$50 a week.
Yeah.
Boom, mobile phone.
I didn't have a mobile till about 2008.
What the fuck were you doing?
2008?
Yeah, I was avoiding.
No. It would have been early 2000s, man. I got
13
mine early
13 years
2000s.
after you
I
finished
was-
high school.
Yeah, I didn't want one. I was like, I don't
Wow.
want people to contact me.
Yeah, cool. That's good.
I reckon I
I
got my
had one
first
when I lived in
smartphone
England.
in like 2008.
2003.
I reckon
Then
I got
rid of it.
You're obviously ahead of the curve, though, Smithy.
maybe it was just I was growing up in Melbourne. Maybe it was different.
Yeah. We're a bit backward
everyone
here in
had a
WA.
Yeah, we're 20 years behind, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, WA, wait a while.
Yeah.
But like I had everything I needed in the 90s. I really
That's a
did.
great point.
Good music.
I could communicate with people, but it didn't ruin your life. Where like
Good
I was looking
fashion.
around work the other day, and everyone's sitting around the table, and every motherfucker, myself included, is just sitting there on their phone. I don't know what the fuck we're all doing, but nothing important.
No.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? We're not communicating or talking.
No,
anymore.
Smitty, that's
we're not.
a great observation, and I noticed the same thing in those situations as
Yeah.
well. And I think it's really sad because we're missing out on some possibly in-depth communication with other people.
I
It's
think
like
we're
you
actually
can't have any downtime.
nah.
No.
Every
Like I need to
moment
fill
of
it
your
with
day
something.
needs to be filled.
Yeah.
There's no just sitting there and thinking.
Yeah.
Even like cementing memories. Like I swear our memory's getting worse because we're not sitting there thinking about what we've just spoken about.
Yeah.
Probably right.
We're always just looking for the next conquest. What's on my phone? What can I flip onto?
Yeah.
Fuck, better check my emails again or whatever people do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like the 90s we had it made.
The 90s were a good,
fun
man.
decade. Fucking music was killer.
Yeah. Grunge come in.
Grunge. It's back too, the fashion. Kids are
Yeah.
wearing the 90s gear now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some guys are wearing those fur denim jackets now.
What
Oh,
what
yeah.
legends
Love
they
those
would be.
things.
eh?
Legends.
Mate, I
wish
travelled
still had
around
my fur.
Europe. I travelled around Europe and the US and that in the early 90s in one of those, a denim jacket with a fleece line.
I threw it out. Why would you throw out a good fur? I paid a fortune for that thing back in the
yeah.
day. Fortune.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
back. They're back in fashion.
They are
Yeah.
back.
I don't know about the 80s fashion coming back. The 80s fashion,
Yeah.
that's
was a
pretty
weird
dicey.
decade. 80s was a
Yeah,
weird
big
decade.
shoulder pads and little
Neon
like,
Music,
shit.
neon
music
shit.
was weird too.
Oh, the music, mate, was
It was good, but it was weird.
awesome.
It was weird.
That was. Oh, I thought the music in the 80s was unbelievable.
Glam rock, hair metal.
Yeah.
A lot of big personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some classic songs from the 80s, man.
Do you reckon that decade will be remembered for music though? When you got like the 60s and
I think so. I think a lot of music today bounces back to the 80s,
You reckon?
the 80s sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not taking the 60s. I mean, I even love the 50s. I've got
Yeah.
a playlist on my phone of party music 50s.
Yep.
And I sometimes prepare dinner to it. I love it. It's
Yep.
such a good vibe and really cool pump along songs, you know.
Yep.
60s are awesome. I'm not a really big fan of the 70s. I
70s lost its way a bit, didn't it? Yeah. Not as good as the 60s.
The 80s really come back with the glam rock, but also the just that pop music, pop rock.
Had some good metal in the 80s.
Yeah, had some
Yep.
great metal in the 80s. Yep. Then the 90s was awesome. And then I don't think beyond the 2000s I paid much attention to it. I was always just, as I grew older, I
That's when
always
you got
reflected
old.
back to
Yeah.
the 80s and 90s.
I'll tell you why the 90s killed it, because like electronic music really came out as well, like all the sampling and all the techno and dance music and
Bit of
stuff. Like
EDM,
a
yeah.
whole new style of music came
Yeah.
out. Like it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like we still had grunge and, you know, your Nirvanas and your Pearl Jams and all your iconic bands
Hip-hops.
doing their thing. But yeah, you had your hip hop and your techno and all your, you know, not so much R&B, I guess there was a little bit, but all your different styles of music.
R&B had Bone Thugs and Harmony, you know
Yeah.
those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. It
it's
was pretty
interesting.
cool. Bring
Yeah.
back the 90s.
Yeah.
Someone said to me tomorrow, you can flick a switch and live in the 90s. I'll be like, fucking, I'm there. As long as I
Yeah.
take my family with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I would, eh?
Yeah. It was a very innocent time.
It was.
World
Think
was,
about the 80s, man. 80s was
wasn't-
more innocent.
yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, I was a teenager in the 80s, but I guess, you know, in the 80s, Ronald Reagan administration and bringing down the wall and all this shit that
Yeah.
went behind that's led to where we are today. Yeah, the 80s and
you
90s were innocent.
Do you reckon our parents would say the same thing? Oh, take me back. Oh,
Yeah.
the 90s are terrible, mate.
I hear my parents talk to their friends about that
Super
shit. And
Nintendos
they reminisce
and this
about
Pearl Jam and
nightclubs
this
they went to
Nirvana.
in the 60s and shit. And I'm like, I get it. I understand that now that I'm older.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was younger, I was sort of laughed and be like, you know,
And don't
silly
you-
old fools. Now I'm like, I'm doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you're probably, as an older gentleman, you're probably stuck in that era that you were cool. And I reckon that happened to my old man. You know, like he got stuck in the 70s when he was cool, you know, with the big hair and the listening to disco and that kind of shit. You know, bit of Zeppelin and then that was cool. And then they get to you like in the 2000s. I don't want anything to do with the 2000s like that. That was too old.
Yeah, I guess that the difference is the simplicity of life. And I think in those periods, life was simple.
Yep.
Yeah, there was no complicated.
But that's what I mean. Like our parents saying that about the 70s and then the 50s. Oh, it was simple times back then.
So back in 2070, our kids are going to look back and go, gee, those 2020s were great times.
Yeah.
Remember we could just sit on our phone. Remember we could just sit on our phone all day and look at TikToks?
Yeah.
That was a great day.
Before we all had a chip in our brain and we downloaded data telepathically and
remember that pandemic
into the
take me back
cloud.
to that.
I remember going out with a boy. I had a boyfriend or a girlfriend who was a human. I really remember those days. They were really good. Like the soft touch of human skin.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, because you had to like balance each other's feelings and emotions and shit.
Yeah.
And do shit for each other.
Now my Android girl over here. Hey, sit down. Stop that. Plug yourself back in. Sorry, master. Would you like a blowjob?
I'd be like that fucking Ready
Maybe
Player
they
One
are
game.
good times. Maybe we want those times.
Yeah, I don't know. Times are changing.
Sure are.
You just got to adapt. You know, as I get older, I just sort of think that, you can get down with the woes of shit that's changing, or you can just be aware of them and just adapt as they come.
Yeah.
And prepare yourself for that adaptation.
I mean, also it occurs to me that I can live a lifestyle like I'm in the 90s. I choose not to. So that's a reflection on me, right?
Yes.
I don't have to carry a fucking smartphone. I can go back and get one of those Nokia dumb phones.
Yeah.
I don't have to get home every night and watch Netflix, or I can choose to just sit and think and...
Yeah, put a candle on and...
Yeah. Oh, we were a candlelight in the 90s, but... We got electricity a couple of years back.
You get your tape deck, get your CD player out, listen to a couple of CDs.
Make a couple of mixtapes off the radio and shit. Hopefully the bloody DJ doesn't talk in the middle of it and ruin your tape.
I found my tapes the other day and I
really?
sat down and listened to Soundgarden, Super Unknown.
Oh.
On the
Awesome.
cassette.
That's a great album.
Yeah.
Such a good album.
Yeah. I watched, there was a show where, with my daughter, the daughter lost her father and found this mixtape, and my daughter was all over cassettes. I want to get a cassette. And now you can actually buy them. People are back, they're kind of coming back into fashion.
Like vinyl was for us and still is.
Yeah.
Sort of like in fashion after.
Vinyl's real big,
falling
hey.
out
People are right into vinyl.
I remember as a kid, my dad had this awesome stack of vinyl. All the
Imagine you'd
iconic...
stolen it back then.
I did worse than that.
Oh,
he used to sit out in the
sold.
shed and he had all these like, early 60s and 70s pressings like Beatles, Beach
Zeppelin,
Boys, Zeppelin, all the good stuff, right? Just smashed them all up, used them as frisbees. Fully just fucked them up.
Bullshit.
Nah, true story.
You frisbeed some Zeppelin.
Oh, all of it, mate.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah, real bad.
No.
People didn't give them any value, like in the 80s.
No,
Look at this piece of shit. What am I going to do with these?
We got cassettes now. Look how small they
I've got
are.
a cassette. I've got a radio. What do I need vinyl
CDs
for?
are coming.
Smashed them.
What can you play your cassettes on though? Do they still come out with tape deck?
I've still got a
Speaker
tape
things?
deck, yeah.
You'd be able to buy one, wouldn't you? Yeah,
You reckon? Yeah.
I guess so.
Well, I guess you could buy vinyl players, so surely you could play a tape. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go out and search one out.
Yeah.
We pay big dollars for vinyl these days. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
Especially if you want like original shit.
My daughter's got a friend whose father is well into his music, and he's got a whole wall of vinyl covers, album covers.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks unbelievable. Like all your iconic,
Like a bit of artwork kind of.
like, your Pink Floyd,
yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon sort of thing. Nirvana, the little boy in the pool, baby in the pool with his dick chasing the dollar.
Clash, London Calling, with that one, he's smashing his guitar. That was iconic. That
Yes.
one.
Yeah, that's a
A
great.
few good album covers out there, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good little thing to have a look at and just talk about, eh? Can you Google some, like,
Well, let's do a pod
on your computer, Jamie?
Yeah.
We'll do a music pod,
Let's
I
do a
reckon.
music
Yeah.
We should do a music pod, but actually include some little like 15 or 20-second clips of just the absolute rocking out part of the songs.
Are you allowed to do
Just
that?
to really get. All right.
I think I'll have to look it up, but I think you can do 10 seconds.
I think you
without
can do
being
like
copyright.
fair
Yeah.
use or something like that.
I
Or
could play a
people-
game. You play 10 seconds, you got to guess the video.
Yeah.
Guess the.
I did that at work about a year ago. I was sitting down with two blokes and we started talking about music and we just started talking about different songs. We crapped on for about 2 hours. We were talking about sort of mostly 90s, early 2000s genre. It was a cracking session, just sitting at work, talking shit about music.
Yeah.
And it really took you down memory lane because those guys were sort of pulling out some stuff and making you remember shit that maybe you hadn't thought about. It wasn't on your radar, but you were sort of remembering it.
Music brings people together, mate. I love music. Music
is so powerful.
I always try to have on in my house all the time because I just think it exposes my kids to music that I love. It can create emotions as well. It can create an emotional state for you, depending on what music you're listening to. But speaking of album covers, is it Megadeth that use Eddie the skeleton? Is it Megadeth?
Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden's albums would have to be some of the most such well-designed, creative album covers, and they use that skeleton Eddie.
Eddie.
Shit out of me when I was little.
Some of them. That one where he's the half skeleton, he's in his spine sort of sticking out below, and he's like holding some stuff in his hand. They're cool.
Yeah, music's on a different level.
Yeah,
let's do a whole pod on that.
I remember reading a comment one time. I think I've said this before on this show, but sometimes I like to go on YouTube and sometimes I watch songs on YouTube because I like to look at the clips from back in the day. Some of the 90s and 80s film clips to the songs were killer.
Yeah.
So I love to go on because you can actually get on YouTube or other streaming platforms and watch, the track and the song. So, but sometimes I like to read the comments down below just to see what people are saying about it. Sometimes you read a killer comment. And I remember this comment, and it just resonates so strongly with me. Someone just wrote, "Music is a time machine."
Oh, wow.
And it 100% is, because if you listen to a song you haven't heard from like your prime of your life days and you listen to it and immerse yourself in that, you're back there.
Yeah.
You're back in that.
Totally agree,
time.
Smithy. Totally agree.
You're right, yeah.
Have you seen that footage of people really messed up with Alzheimer's, dementia and stuff like that? Just cooked, like they're in the final stages of, they're just gaga, sitting there just fully out of it. And then you can watch video footage of this, and then they find out like what their favourite songs were from back in the day from family members, and they play a song, and for a moment these people just kind of snap out of it.
Wow.
And become verbal again and talk for a little bit.
That's crazy.
It's like it's just fired some neuronal
neurons,
pathways in their brain that have been long asleep but are still there. And I don't know, just something about music is so powerful. That sort of, I mean, we've listened to music for thousands of years, right? As tribal people, we've done drumming and singing and, ceremonial stuff. I think we're wired to accept music on a different level.
Yeah.
Ancestral man would have had music around the campfire for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. They would have integrated stories into it. They would have
singing.
That's
how they passed down
celebration.
Traditions.
Do you remember back in the day, and this was the beauty of it, a new album would come out, you'd go down to the record shop. There used to be a record shop in your local shopping centre.
Yep.
You'd buy the CD or the tape, and you'd go home and you'd listen to the whole album in its entirety.
Yep.
Listen to the lyrics, listen to
You'd open up the
sheet.
cover,
Yep.
and sometimes you'd be spewing that there was no lyrics in there. They'd just be pictures, but most often they had lyrics, and you'd read along, and you'd get a feel for the album, not just a song. So now we even say the new Metallica album is out. It's an awesome album. It's fantastic.
Is it? Yeah, cool.
But they just come out with one song. They release that, and then a couple of weeks later they'll release the next song, and then another, and then they'll bring out the album.
Yeah.
You sort of, I think you lose a feel for the album.
Yeah.
You're listening to these singles.
Yep.
Which I guess is probably their. I guess they did that back in the day, didn't they? Remember they used to bring out the little singles?
Yeah.
And they'd bring out the first release, one or two singles of an album.
Even back in the day of vinyl, they'd bring out little, what are
little
they called? 45s?
45s,
little small ones?
Yeah. I just find that I love Fridays because on Spotify I get my release radar, and that's all new songs based on my likes, my taste.
Get that? How come you're getting that?
Don't you get release radar?
Nah.
Oh man,
I've got Spotify Premium. Give me my fucking radar.
You got to have release radar, surely.
Right.
And I look forward to every Friday finding some new music. And I often get quite disappointed because there's just shit.
Yeah.
And although when the new Metallica single dropped, I was pumped, and I could see what was happening. There's going to be a new album come out.
Yeah.
But a lot of it now there's a lot of covers, which I don't mind a good cover of an old classic. But a lot of music, you click on you play the song and you click on view album, and there's nothing else. It's just that one song. You know, and Timmy Trumpet, he's got some classics.
Yeah.
Love his songs.
Yeah.
There'll be he's got so many awesome songs, but there's not one great album.
Yeah.
He just brings out singles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's they were good days when you could just buy an album. You know, like I remember my first album was Irene Cara.
Irene
Cara. I don't know why I bought that. It was vinyl, and it was I can't remember the song that she had on that album.
I don't think anyone can.
She was hot.
Is she a
Maybe the
person?
album cover got me because she was like kneeling on the beach in this little sarong thing.
Oh, should I have heard of her? Have you heard of her, Smithy?
I don't know who you're talking about.
No, I haven't.
Irene Cara is it What a Feeling? What a Feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the Fame song?
Right.
Is that Irene Cara? I think that's Irene Cara. We'll have to Google that.
Irene
Jamie, can you pull that up?
Jamie.
My first album was Ghostbusters.
Oh, classic soundtrack. That was a good soundtrack.
It was. That was on vinyl too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Another good soundtrack back in the day was The Lost Boys. That was cool.
That was a killer movie.
Yeah.
Flashdance, David.
Flashdance.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Irene Cara. Oh, no, and Fame. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What a Feeling. There you go. Jeez. 245 million listens.
Wow.
There you go. Have a listen,
right,
mate.
I'm
Do
out
yourself a favour. Irene Cara.
I'm out of the loop, but
I had a big poster of Whitney Houston back in my
bet you
room
did.
as well.
Oh yeah.
I love Whitney Houston. She was beautiful.
Pre Bobby Brown.
Pre-Bobby Brown. This is like what's up to do with that? It was Tina Turner. Rest in peace.
Oh.
Just died recently, didn't she?
Yeah.
She was awesome. Tina Turner. She was brilliant.
She was a pretty
pipes.
iconic 80s
Man,
sort of
she went through with that Ike
personality.
Yeah.
Ike Turner, the way he treated her.
Mm.
She had a real renaissance, back in the late 80s, early 90s. With
thanks
she
to
come-
the NRL.
Yeah, and also
Simply the best.
Thunderdome, Mad Max Thunderdome. She was in that movie.
Yeah.
And she came out with that, what was that song? We don't need another hero.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mel was good. I saw somewhere about Mel Gibson, a podcast saying, be aware in the next few months to find some anti-Mel Gibson propaganda shit coming out.
I've heard this.
Because he's about to release, in conjunction with this Green Beret guy, a soldier, a 4-part documentary on the child sex trafficking trade, which apparently is worth $32 billion a year or something. And so I don't know if you recall back in the day when Mel was talking about the dark side of Hollywood.
Yep.
And I think he actually did refer to people drinking babies' blood and shit like that.
And everyone just said, he's had a meltdown and he's
He's
crazy.
had a turn.
And the media were straight onto it.
Yeah.
Accused him of being an alcoholic, accused him of anti-Semitism and all this sort of shit, and said he was a psycho. And it really affected his career.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Yeah, but he because this Green Beret guy, he was the one that started looking into Eastern Europe child trafficking, and he expected in his initial investigation to get about 2,000 names. He got about 20,000.
Wow.
So it became bigger than Ben-Hur. So he then incorporated, I think Mel Gibson jumped on board and obviously funded a lot of it. And there's going to be a 4-part doco come out about it.
Isn't it crazy that we still have human trafficking, like in the 21st century, today,
Yeah.
and it's possibly increasing, like rather than decreasing? It's
Yeah.
not like something that's tapering off that we've nearly got a hold of.
Yeah.
So
Seems
much to end slavery and that
Be
kind of trade, and then it's
obviously we're
actually
not
still going.
trafficking people based on ethnicities or not trafficking black people from Africa or something like that.
No, we
Rightly so, but
can't be.
now we're trafficking women
Whoever.
or children or whoever. Like
Yeah.
it's hectic.
It
You
is.
hear about all the fuckery around like the Haiti, disaster and all the high profile people going over there and kids just getting stolen, and it's like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
how can this still happen?
Who was
Yeah.
behind that?
Who was behind that? Like what?
Oh, yeah,
how
the,
did-
the funding behind that. Yeah, it was
Well,
Yeah, it's
wasn't
just-
it
it's
the
crazy.
Clinton
Foundation
Foundation
was
was
really
heavily behind?
it's a conspiracy, David. Come on.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy. Hey, what good news is going on in the world, lads? Anyone got any good news shit going on? I was thinking like be a good way to.
Well,
I
the
don't know.
bombers are in the 8.
Not for much longer.
It's cricket season, boys.
You guys
so
got any just cracking news?
we won the first test. That was good.
Yeah. Second test started,
Yeah.
Today, last night, was it?
2 days in.
2 days in?
Well, this will come out week and a half.
I'm a bit
later,
disillusioned with cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket.
I'm off it. 2020 ruined it for me.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you
Switched
got
off.
nah. You
Mate,
know,
because
you're
I
watching the right thing.
grew up in the 80s and that 80s World Series cricket when the West Indies were such a powerhouse and the Aussies always struggled against them and it was England were good.
England are never good.
No, they were back in the 80s. And New Zealand were good. New Zealand and Australia had a good rivalry. New Zealand wore the brown and we wore the canary yellow and Windies had the grey and purple. They were great days. And when, like you say, Smithy, 2020 come in, fastened the game. I don't know. There's too much cricket. There's too much cricket.
It's death by cricket.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think I've got the attention span to watch
You
Test
two
anymore.
haters.
Oh, really?
Not enough.
I don't.
cricket.
I used to sit down and watch a whole test when I was a kid. I mean, obviously, I had the time when you're a kid. You're on summer holidays from school and you got all your tests over summer. I could just sit down and watch whole test match. Loved it.
For a cricket lover, this Ashes series is unbelievable. That first test, there's probably, you could list maybe 4 or 5 others that were as good as that. It was unbelievable. The Barmy Army in the background, screaming all day, trumpets going, chants, getting stuck into the Aussies. You know, there's mouthing off the field, you know, to come down to the last hour of the day. People are up at 2:30 in the morning watching it. You know, it was unbelievable.
Wow.
I don't think you guys are watching the right stuff.
I just over it.
Yeah.
Past it.
Oh, I love Test cricket. That's the only cricket I really enjoy now. Like 50 overs is pretty much dead. They're trying to get rid of that.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I still
It
love
is.
good like day nighter and stuff like that.
Day nighters were awesome.
Real spectacle.
On a hot
and
summer's night.
It was a good sort of length of time.
Yep.
I found.
Yeah, on a hot summer's night,
yeah.
you'd have a few beers in the arvo,
Yeah.
then you'd have your barbie in the changeover between bat and bowl
Yep.
innings, and then you'd go and finish off the evening in your sitting back having a couple of frothies on a nice hot night.
Yeah, and if they made 200 off the 50 overs, you'd be going, what a
Yeah.
good score.
It's
And
crazy.
Now
Now
they're
you look at
bashing
what
out
the- yeah.
320 and now you're less like it.
I mean, that's.
I don't know.
Yeah, but is
it cricket though?
that a design of the equipment? Like, aren't the bats thicker and like
Oh, maybe.
the equipment's changed a lot?
Maybe it's like every sport.
It's become a
with
smash
things.
and bash game.
Yeah, but
really.
every sport is doing that. And if you don't do it, you're not moving forward. Like you look at the NBA. Like Ice Cube, he's got his 3-on-3 comp, his summer competition, you know, everywhere. They're talking about the NFL, or not the NFL, but having a spin-off sort of flag football. I think they call it 2-touch in America. Two-touch hands is a tackle kind of thing. Everyone is doing a spin-off, and if you don't, you're going to fall behind.
But then, as long as the spin-off doesn't impact the original sport, you know, the original, like even Test cricket, they've said is under threat.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know in what way it could be. It's England are playing a really exciting brand of cricket.
Yeah,
They scored in the first test 390 and declared, and Australia had an hour to bat. Like, I don't know what more you could want. Yeah. Okay,
mate,
you can
I
have
totally
your
appreciate what you're
traditionals,
saying, and I love that as part of cricket. But what I'm saying is that these people that go down to the Perth Scorchers and watch a game for an hour and a half because they just want a quick fix, they're not your type of people that are going to invest in watching Test cricket.
You don't think? You don't think
Nah.
they love both and go, I'm coming to this because this is awesome? And
Oh,
it's
there'd be a
good
few of those, of
spectacle,
course.
And then there's Test cricket, which is traditional.
I think a lot of people just go along for the bash and crashing because it's only an hour and a half.
Like it's watching 2 different games, really.
It is.
Yeah, at the moment, the English are playing like it's a 2020 Test match.
Yeah.
And they're scoring at 5, 6, 7 runs and over, doing some crazy fielding, having some crazy fielding setups, and having some, like Joe Root, former captain, came out first ball of the third day, tried to flick Cummins over the back of the wicketkeeper's head in a Test match. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
I miss
This
the
is
days
crazy.
of I
This
miss
is
the days of
exciting.
Booney getting run out when he couldn't even muster up a trot.
Yeah.
Fat little body just shot up.
Yeah.
But are
Days
they
of-
getting told to play that way? Are they getting
no
told, look,
doubt,
you boys, you've got to have to start throwing in a few furfies into this Test cricket because we're losing audiences. We need to change the image of it. We need to change the game style. Are they changing fielding rules? Are they doing any of that sort of stuff in Test cricket?
I think it's Brendan McCullum is the England captain, former New Zealand. He was a really good one-day player. He played a lot of Test cricket as well, but he was kind of the guy that would do that in a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was one of the World Cup finals. He got out first or second ball of the whole thing. You know, he tried hit someone back over their head. You know, that was how he played, and he's brought that to the English team, and they are now. Yeah, it's almost freedom. I remember doing a cricket coaching clinic, and I can't remember who they were talking about, but the mindset of everyone has changed. You know, I think it was Justin Langer kind of said to one of the players, if your defence is shit, but why defend? Why don't you just go out there? Because your attacking play is amazing. So go out there and do that. That's what you do well, attack. I think it was Ashton Turner, who is actually the Scorchers captain, and if you watch any of that T20 stuff, he's been amazing. But he was saying, your defence is no good, so don't defend, just go out there and tee it up.
It's an interesting way to coach, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what McCullum's done to this English side, and they're going well. I think it's good. I like it. It's exciting.
You reckon they've just moved away from that like orthodoxy of what we decided Test cricket had to be 20 years ago, and now it's more like, well, this is your strength, play to your strength.
Yeah, it's
or you know, this is a more exciting brand or a more effective brand, and they've sort of moved away from that old school, maybe old school selectors or whatever, and they've gone, well,
traditional, come out and bat. You don't lose. You don't want to lose 2 wickets in the first session, so you come out and you're none for 40 at lunch, which is 2 hours of play.
Kick
and
it over
England
at 2 runs and over, or 3 runs and over, or something boring.
Fuck that. Let's just go hard and let's be 200 at lunch. What does it matter if we're 5 for 200 as opposed to none for 30, and everything drags out for 5 days? And what if it rains? You know, then they're kind of forcing a result, and people are going, "Whoa, this is cool." I don't know. I think it's just like everything, like like the food pyramid. You know, you work out, okay, that's not quite right. That's what they're doing. It's a changing of the guard. Everything doesn't have to be the same because we've done it the same for 40 years. Maybe we think outside the box. Maybe saturated fat isn't so bad for us, or maybe high fat, low carb diet is good. I don't know.
Or the latest one, maybe low carbs, not that good.
Well, funny you say that.
Because that's the latest attack, and a lot of people sort of coming onto that now is like low carb for a long time is maybe not that good.
Yeah. Well, I found a little interesting study during the week. Low carb fasting raise low fat diets lower early risk of death by 30%. So that's the name of it.
Sorry, can you read that out again? Say that one more time. My brain's not working.
Yeah. So low carb / fasting raise low fat diets lower early risk of death by 30%. So what they're saying in this was, if you have a low carb diet with fasting, it raises your risk of early death by 30%, and if you have low fat, it lowers your early risk of death by 30%.
Low fat with fasting?
No, I didn't say anything about fasting, but the funny thing was that got picked up by a lot of media outlets, and it was running around, everyone that's doing this low carb diet is wrong. It's no good. See, we told you we were right.
That's what I want to ask you. Who says this? Where is this from?
This was from it is from...
Because if anything, it's coming from the mainstream media now. I'm not believing it.
Yeah, mate, this is going to be a devil in the detail one where it's like...
there you go, Matthew. You were right onto it. So this was from... I don't know. Jamie, look it up.
Jamie, look that up.
I'll look it up and I'll let you know. But
like any study, there's devil in the detail and what sort of fat, were they consuming and...
So you're spot on. Yeah. So I had a look at it, and if you look into it, it was almost dirty keto.
Yeah.
It was high in vegetable oils. So that...
Stop right there.
Yeah. So that ratio of omega-3 and 6 was right out. Yeah. So, it was a lot of processed foods. And so if you put a low-carb, high-fat dirty oils, dirty fats
Yep.
against a low-fat diet of, because I think that I'll have to look again, but they were talking about salads and, unprocessed stuff. Well, yeah, that's going to look better. And if you have that, you're going to take that option. But, yeah, when you look into it, it was a really bad low-carb diet.
Yeah.
And this is what shits me, mate.
Yeah.
So there's just one a headline, right? A title.
Uh-huh.
People just look at the title these days.
Yep.
They won't go in what you just did and in depth and have a look at it, the nuts and bolts of it, or even research it a little bit further. They'll just spurt out this at the the dinner table or having a couple of beers with their mates. Oh, did you hear about? I saw this on the internet.
Oh yes, tell me about that. Oh well, yeah, it's just a vibe.
Well, it's just it's just the title I just saw. It's just clickbait shit.
Yeah.
I mean, if any of our listeners out there haven't gone back and listened to our seed oil podcast or researched seed oils or linoleic acid or anything, go out there and have a look at it because it's real bad news.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst things you can do to your health.
Yeah.
So if you've got a study that's looking at low carb but obviously high fat, and that fat is more linoleic acid, omega-6 containing stuff, absolutely, you're going to get that result. Absolutely. Like, it's proven that it's going to go into your vessel walls, it's going to clog your arteries, it's going to destroy your metabolic health. Let's rerun that study, low carb or moderate carb, and let's look at all your, better oils. You're going to get a different outcome.
Yeah,
100%.
totally.
Like, it's so inflammatory, those oils, they're going to destroy your health.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what diet you got. Doesn't matter if you're low carb, high carb, whatever, vegan, carnivore. If you got high linoleic acid, real bad news.
Yeah.
So it's like you say, Roo, it's a bit of clickbait, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got hardcore, really good science that gets done out there, and then you've got a lot of shit in between.
Yeah.
You've got to wade through all the crap to get to something that actually gives you a meaningful result.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it's not meaningful.
Oh.
No. And once again, this is an observational study.
Yeah.
They do it's objective. Subjective. So it's really, what did you eat? Write it all down. So they, you're relying on the person
So
to
straight
write
up,
down.
we know that food diaries are notoriously unreliable. And
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah. So you got to, you write down. Sometimes they don't get everything. It might not be that they're doing it on purpose.
What
but
was
it's
your
just things.
portion size? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know, about
that.
200 grams. Oh yeah, show me what 200 grams looks like. Oh, that's actually 500 grams.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hard to do good science with no, sort of confounding variables in there. But
Yeah.
there's definitely still a difference between good science and shit science.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the headline will chuck in the key words, like keto.
Yeah.
So then when someone goes onto Google and chucks on the word keto in there, an article like that, which might be given priority above others in the search engine.
Yeah.
And we know the search engines are compromised. That's
Yes.
become, like, even the World Health Organization admitted that they organised with Google if someone searched, what was it, like, vaccine hesitancy or something like that.
Yeah.
Anything that was
Cure cancer.
Was it cure cancer? Was it? There's
That
a
was
few
one of them.
things.
There was heaps. Yeah.
There's multiple things. Anything that's of particular scientific note will be put down the list or even on page 2 or 3, whereas the stuff they want you to see will be on page 1.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No one ever goes to the page 2 or 3 of the Google search, do they?
Mate.
It's only page 1.
Some of the shit gets buried like page 200. You're never finding it.
Yeah.
No one's clicking through 200 pages and
Exactly.
reading each thing and following links.
Yeah.
One thing I have heard about this low carb stuff, I don't know if it's true or not, I hadn't seen enough good quality studies, is a lot of people talking about sort of the metabolic and hormonal damage that some people are doing on very, very low carb, very strict diets with high exercise for longer periods of time. Have you come across that?
Cortisol spike?
Yeah,
increase?
cortisol spike and some other sort of just imbalances in your sort of hormonal and maybe even neurotransmitter type systems, and then also a very big decrease in your basal metabolic rate. So your body will get used to burning like a lot less calories.
Yeah,
And that's cool if you stay on that for your whole life. But if you come off, it almost ties into that yo-yo dieting sort of practice where I'm going to eat nothing but fucking salad for like a month. Yeah, sweet, you're going to drop some sweet weight, but also your metabolism drops right down. And then after that, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to go back to my normal diet, and you fucking balloon back up again. It's like, well, it's because
Well, that was
metabolic
one. Of,
rates
well, that
sort
was
of
one of
shifting.
the things that was the criticism of fasting and
Yeah.
and I guess low carb diet is a little bit like that, but
Yep.
the criticisms of fasting of you're going to go into starvation mode. You're gonna
Yeah.
that thing of
Come on
have we not as modern ancestral man not adapted now to that being we don't have those selection pressures. We don't have that thing where we're going to be 3-4 days
Yeah.
without food.
Yep.
We've got plentiful supplies of everything.
Yes.
Really, are we going to go into starvation mode? But maybe chronically low carb diets and exercising.
I think with high intensity
hard?
exercise can be a drama. Like there's some
Yeah.
people doing some very, almost no carb, like very low carb, high fat diets, and they're doing high intensity.
kind of
Guys
stuff.
training for the Olympics or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
I think some people, maybe not all of them, but I think some people can definitely bump into problems.
Yeah, but even if you look at, say, Paul Saladino, carnivore MD.
Yeah, look at how he's changed over the years.
Yeah, he did that. He did that carnivore thing and would have been real low carbohydrate, and it's now gone. Well, I can't even surf for 3 hours a day without being out and without any
he's
energy.
eating,
So I've got
papaya and having bananas and shit. and-
throwing honey in there. And all
Yeah,
that
I mean,
kind of stuff.
he's eating sort of like a few hundred grams of carbs a day, probably when you look at some of the stuff he's having.
Yeah,
I tend to, if I was going to, plant my flag on a diet, I tend to go more towards those centrist type ones, even like a healthy,
Mediterranean kind
healthy omnivorous sort of diet where you're Mediterranean, you do eat some carbs.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think other ones work really well for some people.
yeah,
Maybe if you had to choose one for like the entire human race, you might go more towards the middle.
yeah.
I think the extremes, I definitely don't support extreme like veganism or, raw food vegans. I don't think that's very good. And yeah, I've tried carnivore for a while and that was okay, but I don't think it's really for many people and I don't know how sustainable it is.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. Keto, yeah, it's just you've got to be quite disciplined, don't you?
yeah. And if you look at ancestrally, maybe keto would have been good during the winter months. You would have been eating maybe a bit more meat protein. You can't get the berries and the fruits and seeds and whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So you maybe a cyclic
Yeah,
keto diet where you sort of keto in the winter and you'll have a few more fruits and honey and stuff
Don't
during
you
the
reckon
summer
like
and
most
fatten up
things
for
doing
winter?
them cyclical are the best way to do it?
Yeah.
Cycling most things is good. It's like if you take supplements, you're not going to take a supplement every day of your life. You're going to cycle it.
Yeah.
Guys that do a lot of heavy exercise will go through more intense bouts and then have, some time off or some.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be cyclical. Like, I don't think there's many things where it's like, just do the same thing every day. There will be some things, but most stuff seems to suit being
Cold
cyclical.
plunging, you're doing every day, aren't we?
Oh, man, I've been doing that every day since our cold plunge podcast.
Yeah.
Every day except
yesterday,
Sunday.
yeah.
Sundays are my days off. And now it's winter. Jumping in my pool in the morning, or at work we've got a pool that we plunge in, and it's fucking freezing.
Yeah.
How many minutes a week do you reckon you're doing, mate? Like
I do 3 minutes every session, so I'm doing 18 minutes a week.
Yeah, cool. Because I think someone was talking the other day about the science saying if you need between 5 and 11 minutes total a week
Yeah.
to
Okay.
get benefits, so you're definitely well up there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's what 5 to 11 minimum.
Oh, if you're in that range total for a week, that'll be sufficient to get the benefits of.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
sure more is better,
Okay.
and I'm sure colder is better.
Yeah.
I think the colder the water is, the less time you have to spend
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, my pool's about 9-10 degrees, and I'm managing
Cold
3
enough?
minutes. It's cold enough, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes my breath away when I put my head under.
Yeah, they did say in one thing that I was reading that it can become addictive.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit of a drug. It's a
Because you get the dopamine hit.
it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
ton of dopamine.
You feel
rush.
fucking amazing
Now,
afterwards, eh?
when I'm finished, I am pumped.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
awesome afterwards, and I feel like I've done that. I've accomplished my challenge for the day. It's the first thing I've accomplished.
Yep.
Yeah, we were
And I
talking
just
about that this morning, weren't we?
Yeah,
In
and
being
your
a
skin's
mental-
numb and burning, and you just feel pumped.
you-
bright red.
Do you jump in or ease in?
Easing.
Yeah. me
Yeah.
too. I can't jump in. Nah. I'm worried I'll have a fucking heart attack or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And we
Yeah.
were talking about the
Diabetes.
sooner you can get your head in under the water,
definitely.
the better, I reckon.
Yeah,
Because then I think your whole body sort of, because I get like it feels like my brain stem is freezing.
yeah, right.
Probably
If I
is.
don't get my head under,
Yeah.
there's this little weird feeling in the back of my neck where I'm like, oh, my body's really cold, but my brain maybe isn't
Yeah.
kind of there yet.
I wonder whether
It's
you've
like
got a little bit of
yeah.
inflammation there or something, or whether that's an inflammation point. Because I know
as soon as I go under, it goes away.
Yeah,
And
right.
I think it's just not level, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
That part of my
The
body is
battle
cold.
of the two.
This one's not so
yeah.
cold, and there's like a differential between the temperatures, and I've got to get under.
I wonder
That's
whether
what
that's got to do with that other thing that you had,
possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that
I've
was
got an extra artery feeding my brain.
Yeah.
That's what makes you so clever.
Possibly.
Yeah. I find that because I get sinus infections all the time and sinus problems, that when I do go under, it's like someone about after 5-6 seconds, it's like a nail being driven in between my eyes.
Yeah.
And I just got to get up.
Everyone's got their kryptonite point in their body, don't they?
Yeah.
Everyone's got like a different point. Some people are like, oh, my fingers just hurt. I get really sore forearms. My forearms kill me just around near my elbows.
Yeah, right.
I ache and I get so sore.
What, when you're in cold water?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Real painful just for the first like 60 seconds until you kind of go numb.
Yeah.
Get a real intense, deep ache.
It's a deep burn.
It's a deep burn.
I wonder whether that's some sort of inflammation like a golfer's elbow or something like that
Yeah, I
you
don't
might
know,
have.
possibly. Yeah.
And it just shows
I've
up.
had tennis elbow previously. In
wanker's
both
arm.
my arms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both arms though.
Yeah. Okay. Have a bit of that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
It's definitely got its benefits, and I do believe
yeah.
that the dopamine hit and the hormonal release that you have from it is definitely. And I did read a post somewhere that it said that if you do this for minimum of 6 months, you'll notice significant changes in your mood and your mental, emotional well-being. And I reckon I've definitely found that. I reckon, pardon the pun, it's chilled me out a little bit in my thought process.
This guy.
It has, yeah. I reckon it's I don't know what it's changed.
It makes you happy. It
yeah,
definitely
it's
makes you
definitely
happy as you get
changed
out.
some ways.
Singing songs and whistling and definitely a mood enhancer.
It's bloody euphoric when you get out, isn't it?
And maybe that's
And it's got to
partly
be,
do
man.
that.
When we say that it's releasing dopamine and other neurotransmitters, there's got to be some sort of emotional benefit to it.
And also that mental game of like, I know this is going to be painful. I know this is going to hurt. It's going to be 3 minutes. I love your idea of putting on a 3-minute song. We were talking about music before.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
3-minute song. You sing through it. And it's often good to have one that's related. I want to be sedated. You know, I can't control my fingers. I can't control my toes. You know, that kind of thing. Like the lyrics, or you've got that 3-minute playlist that you sent.
Yeah,
through
yeah. We just did this morning. We had Paranoid from Black Sabbath this morning, which is pretty cool. Three Little Birds from Bob Marley's another.
What did you guys dip this morning? Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
At work.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was cold. It's good to do it with someone. I reckon I did it the other morning on my own, and it's just not as good when you do it with someone.
We had a little chat this morning about the mental capacity of, and maybe that's why it's so good. You've overcome something that you know is painful. And I know Rogan was talking about it when he was doing it every morning. He felt physically ill.
Yeah. Well, I do
going
sometimes wake up just before it's time to wake up feeling a little bit anxious.
Yeah.
Because I know I have to do it, and I feel that anxiety. But then I walk out with my robe on and my towel, and I just take off my robe, and I'm in the nud, and I just go, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I just do it.
A mental thing you've got to overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you make that decision to go, right, I'm doing it.
Yep.
You're committed.
Just got to do it.
And now I'm starting to feel guilty if I don't do it.
Yeah.
Getting addicted.
Yeah, that's
I
what
am.
I mean. Yeah. It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Did that article mention any negatives to getting addicted to cold water therapy? Because usually think of addiction as almost a negative sort of.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, if we're talking about the positive, because I was thinking about it
Tons of positives.
coming home this morning. I was like, well, if it is addictive, because I feel like I am, I've got to do it. I don't think I'd feel guilty not doing it. I think I really like how it makes me feel afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
So
that's what I'm getting used to. Yeah.
I'm getting used to that. But then my mood is increased. I'm up and about. I don't know. Is that a bad thing? It's not. I'm not taking heroin.
Nah. You're
So-
leveraging your body's own natural
like-
endogenous.
Yeah,
Pathways.
but then
cool.
then again, do you need to then keep doing it to get that level? That's what they talk about caffeine. Almost you've got to have 3 cups a day just to be normal.
Oh, so you're gonna if you
You know,
don't do
is-
it, then your mood's gonna be lower, and then when you do it,
Yeah,
that's your normal.
Yeah, is it, or I don't know, or is it changing
Wim
some
Hof's a
neural
pretty chill dude.
pathways, or
Doesn't seem overly edgy, does he?
no. So I can't see any downsides. I can't remember reading any. only that it could be addictive and you keep chasing that feeling, well,
Yeah.
so be it.
I mean, I guess that's like saying someone who's a runner, chasing that runner's high, that
Yeah.
endorphin release.
Oh, and that's a thing too.
is it?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
Yeah.
The lady that Joe Rogan recently talks about on the latest podcast, I can't remember her name, Helen, someone I think. She talks.
The old dear.
The old lady talking about psychedelics.
Yep.
Well, she talks about that runner's high is similar to a psychedelic experience.
Really?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. There's some sort of transformation within brain chemistry that gives people that. It's some people get into a zone when they're running, and it's like they're in another
Oh, yeah.
sort of like another being or another trans. Yeah.
I wonder if that's a blood flow thing. Because I listened to that podcast and she was talking a lot about blood flow.
Yep.
I wonder if maybe you're running and all the blood's in the big muscles in your legs.
I found that really interesting, Smithy.
yeah,
like
right,
she
okay,
just
yeah.
reckons being upright animals that
Yeah.
straight away we are already denying ourselves our brain blood flow.
What was this lady's name? This sounds interesting.
It's
I'll
like
listen to this
one of Rogan's most recent ones.
It's his latest.
Okay.
It's his latest one.
Helen.
Bobby Jamie.
something.
hang on.
She's
She is called.
she's in her 80s, I think.
I haven't finished it yet.
Ir-
She was a bit hard to listen to. But
Irene Cara.
Interesting.
was it?
Her name is. He's just interviewed Ice Cube. Her name is Amanda Fielding.
Amanda Fielding.
Not Helen. Okay.
No, not Helen.
All right, I'm gonna have a listen.
But
That
yeah,
sounds
very interesting about psychedelics, and she's been in and studied them and their benefits for so long, and they talk about how it's unfortunate that they're illegal because there's such benefits to them, and the studies with soldiers with PTSD and the benefits of that, and
It's a real hot topic these days, isn't it? Like, it's a shame, obviously, we can't do it in Australia being illegal and stuff, or most of the world, I guess. But it seems like everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, when are they just going to drop the hammer and be like, yeah, you can buy a six-pack and, I don't know, some
And get your shrooms with it.
psychedelics down from the local store or whatever. Like,
mate, you know what, Smithy? I reckon, and Rogan says that a lot of the population now are microdosing with some sort of
Yeah.
psychedelic, and experiencing the
Really?
benefits of them.
right.
But I guess why they don't want to make it legal is because you could actually eradicate so many mental health conditions by
Yeah.
psychedelic controlled use,
seems like it, yeah.
where the pharmaceutical industry are going to lose a lot out on, like, what are those drugs that
Yeah,
people take?
antidepressants, and
and
anti-anxiety, and
all that sort of shit. Imagine the amount of people in the world on antidepressants and all those sort of drugs.
don't they reckon it's like a reasonably high percentage of the population? I don't know, 30 or 40 or 50% or something.
Well, this lady also talks about, James, and this is what you'll find really interesting. She talks about THC oil as well. So THC oil, they have experimented on people with Parkinson's. And even on the podcast, Joe Rogan brings up this footage of this old fella laying in bed with this Parkinson's, and his whole body's shaking, right? His hands are violently shaking. They put a drop of THC oil under his tongue, and within minutes, it's a footage,
Yeah.
39, it takes 2 minutes or something like that. This guy, his hands and all parts of his body stop shaking, and he's just like now sitting like as a normal person.
Wow.
She also reckons that the THC oil has shown benefits in with children with autism. Right. So severe autism.
I have heard
They've had experiments where kids like no eye connection, like non-verbal, that sort of thing, have had treatment with THC oil. Eye connection returns. They start speaking like a normal person.
Yeah.
It's incredible that these natural medicines are kept from us.
Yeah.
You got to go finding them.
Imagine as a parent having to essentially, like, say you had a kid who had crippling, like really bad autism, and you saw some improvement if they're using these, THC oil or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, that in Australia, as far as I'm aware, is not legal. I don't think even for that use. So you'd have to essentially make yourself criminal, go on the black market to try and help out your kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you hear that other story that they spoke about with the really person crippled by Alzheimer's dementia?
Nope.
I was in that Rogan podcast, and this lady talks about this person was really at the end stage of dementia, similar to an autism person, like no eye contact, not verbal, just a mess.
So I did hear that, yeah.
And gave them like a little bit of LSD,
Yes.
and they came back to like fully conversant, fully with it,
Yep.
get up and about, doing things.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Like, I mean, I don't know the nitty gritty of that. It's
Yeah, it was
not
like a
really
90-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And she was like, fully incapacitated.
Fucked, yeah. And gave her like a very, very small, I'm not up with
Dosage
the
of LSD.
dosing or how it works or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
And she was up and
gave her
about.
a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
And
Wanted to dance.
yeah, up and about
Is that
doing
right?
things. Maybe you go, fuck, they're in their 90s, just let them have it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't
Let
go
the
nuts.
woman dance.
Yeah, let the woman dance. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it does seem like some of this stuff has got a lot of merit, and there seems to be a fair bit of science behind it. There's a lot of TED Talks and stuff out there. I know TED Talks aren't exactly the height of scientific accuracy, but there are a lot of interesting talks out there now. Rogan's done some good podcasts on it.
Yeah, but it's just that whole industrialization of medication, isn't it? Like we saw on that awesome doco, Plandemic 3.
Yeah.
And they explained there where it was J.D. Rockefeller back in the day,
The oil
magnate, realised that they could make medicines from oil.
Petrol, yeah.
So he got into the medical industry, like the academic side of it, and made anything that had been used from a natural source, like herbs, any sort of natural plant medicines, as hearsay.
Yes.
What are they like?
Just crushed it.
Crushed it, as in like anyone proposing this for a medical reason is a quack.
Yep.
Yeah, and they should be. And a lot of doctors actually did resist it and were actually imprisoned for trying to push still the natural medicine that had been used for centuries before this. But what happened was this guy controlled the whole medical fraternity, making medicines from oil, which have now made us sicker.
Seems that way, doesn't it?
But it seems there's an awakening of us going back to this natural herb or plant medicine.
Yep.
The people are starting to realise that, man, these medicines here, these chemical medicines are making us sicker.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what we used to use.
Yep. Well, that's what our family does. We use a lot of, we use homeopathy. We use a naturopath. I've got a Chinese doctor that does Chinese herbs, acupuncture.
Wow.
There's a lot of really good modalities out there that people don't realise. Like, I don't use a doctor.
Yeah.
I use a doctor if I need a medical certificate. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If I walk out the door and get hit by a
Oh, yeah. Surgery-wise, emergency surgery.
Mate, emergency medicine is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I've seen some of that shit up close, and that's pretty cool stuff. But chronically managing people's inverted commas wellness with just more and more pharmaceuticals doesn't seem to be the way.
And you can grow a lot of these plant and herb medicines in your backyard.
What sort of plants are you talking about, right? No, you can,
You can.
absolutely.
Like a little bit of
people
research.
A lot of people make tinctures and stuff now.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of people are growing lion's mane and reishi and turkey tail and a lot of medicinal legal mushrooms and stuff now that got supposed to.
Why are those mushrooms legal and others aren't? Because are they not psychedelic? They're not.
Nah, so I take
psilocybin.
I take turkey tail and lion's mane and stuff like that, and they just boost your immune system.
Mycosylin, I think it's called.
Right. So microsilin is legal, but psilocybin's not.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's got to do with the chemical components in them.
I mean, obviously we're not experts in this field, but imagine if these things like you referenced the THC oil for the kid with autism. I spoke briefly about the LSD with the old lady. Not so much LSD, but I guess mushrooms. Like, imagine if these things were the absolute silver bullet that solved a lot of issues that we couldn't solve. But the pharmaceutical industry is not going to have that because you can't patent a natural substance.
Yeah. That's right.
So it comes from nature.
Yep.
So it's going to be in their interest to suppress it, discredit it, legislate it so that we're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And then they're probably going to try and make something similar. But it's a real shame if nature has given us already that gift.
Yep.
But it's interesting.
We can go against the tide and do it ourselves. We can be our own leaders.
Mate, then you've got to be a criminal though, don't you? And you've got to go down the dark rabbit hole of what's your risk appetite.
We'll have some friends in the know.
Yeah, it's just a real shame, isn't it? Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Interesting, no?
Have we rattled off for 2 hours?
We've been yapping for a while.
Holy dooly.
Yeah, nearly. Yeah.
2 hours.
Wow.
Covered a vast range of topics.
I could keep on talking.
Jeez, we have talked some shit.
I just like talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wish we could get some more listeners though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to pick that up a bit.
Yep.
Because we're not talking too much shit.
Nah.
Compared to some podcasts out there, it's quite a professional operation.
Somewhat.
Semi-pro.
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 Jackie Moon.
Yeah.
Maybe we should send our glyphosate and seed oils episodes to RFK and see what he reckons.
Well, ask him. You can only ask, can't you?
So seeing he just done a recent one on glyphosate.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Really good one, yeah. Had some very interesting points.
But on that note, yeah, get out there, do your own research, get in touch with us. We're on YouTube now.
Yeah, jump on.
Ancestral Man.
Yeah.
Instagram.
If you jump on YouTube,
Twitter.
leave a comment.
Leave a comment.
please.
If it's a bad one,
Yeah.
bag us out. Tell us we're
That'd be good.
a bag of shit.
Click the
Love to hear
thumbs
that.
up button, say you like it.
Click it.
Yep,
Yeah.
get on it.
Yeah. All right.
Righto.
Good chatting.
Have
to
a
you,
good
mates.
weekend,
Great
boys.
chat. Yeah.
Might have a
Stuff.
red wine tonight.
Get into it.
Yeah, nice one.
Organic red
Of
wine.
course, yeah.
I've been into the organic reds. Anyway,
It's the best way to go.
love you.
Yeah.
All right, air guitar.
See ya. You're getting them ready.
Mhm.
Bye bye.